Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Shane.
Welcome to episode 180, Best of Wrestling History X, Volume 4, 1995.
Oh.
You must have known it was coming when we used our real names.
That's right. No dust in this one.
Where's the nickname here?
I was trying to think of one on the fly, and yeah, I did not. So we went with old plain Shane today.
No nicknames needed for this one.
No. The matches stand up for themselves. We don't need any little gimmicks.
So this episode, basically, we have our short list of matches that we've put together from the last 38 episodes or so, 38, 39 episodes, and kind of whittled those down to our favorites, basically. We're going to present them to you in chronological order, because that's what we do here. We don't number them. We just do everything in chronological order.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the whole premise of the show. We're not changing it for this.
In order.
So, I mean, we can just kick it straight to our first one.
Let's do it.
And that was back in episode 143. So, pretty early on. I want to say it was probably our first ECW show, actually.
I think, but I can't remember.
It's called Double Tables. We had the Crippler, Chris Benoit, versus this new guy. We'd seen him once before, in 94, but it was his first time in ECW that we saw him. The Snowman, Al Snow.
Al Snow.
And we were all flabbergasted because we didn't know he had it in him.
Yeah. Watched Al Snow for many years, and
This definitely definitely wasn't the guy that was, what's everybody want?
Head. He's wrestling like a junior.
yeah, I mean, I always knew Al Snow was talented, but I didn't realize it had never been on full display for me to see. You know, there was always some sort of a weird little gimmick, or, you know, in the near future he'll be assigned as a rock and roller. But this one, he was just wrestling. Yeah, he had the snowman name, but he wasn't dressed like a snowman. He didn't carry a stuffed toy with him.
That would have been hilarious. He'd come out in like an inflatable snowman costume.
Maybe the gimmick was that he used lots of cocaine, but I highly doubt it. This was before ECW got extreme. I think it might have even been a team show between...
No, they were extreme by this point.
Okay. But was this not mixed with... This wasn't one of the fan cams?
Huh.
Okay.
No.
It wasn't... Okay, so it wasn't the like Smoky Mountain / ECW thing.
One.
Okay.
No.
But that was the first time we saw him.
Yes.
Okay.
In 94.
Just double checking.
But enough of us talking about
That's right. Let's listen to us talk about him.
Exactly. So we head to our fifth match.
My God.
The Snowman, Al Snow, versus the Crippler, Chris Benoit.
The Snowman.
So the two trade wrist locks with athletic escapes shared between the two until Benoit hits a fireman's carry. Test of strength with the Crippler getting the early advantage, but Snow comes right back until the two start trading pinfall attempts back and forth.
You know something I've noticed about ECW? If the two men are both in shape and they do a test of strength, you're in for something good.
Mm-hmm.
If the two men are not in shape, you're in for maybe like a Mr. Hughes. And so like that's always a good thing to see here.
Here you get Benoit bending.
I don't know
Al
if you
Snow.
realize, but we haven't seen Mr. Hughes in a little while.
We haven't seen him in quite a while, but you know.
Bit. Yeah, but here you get to see old Benoit bending Al Snow in half in their test of strength. It was nice.
I was curious about this. Joey Styles says early on that Snow held down Hoist Gracie for 17 minutes. Is that true? Is that a true thing that happened? Was he a early like MMA or something guy?
That I don't know.
No clue.
Me neither. Well, I'll bring it back up at the end. I'll do some research.
If you know the answer, you can email us or find us on Twitter. Let us know.
Slide into them DMs.
So back to the match, we get a dragon screw by Chris, then some shoving between the two, when the Snowman hits a super kick, catching the Crippler in the jaw. Al is sent to the corner where he does a Flair flip onto the apron, followed by Benoit hitting a clothesline to knock Snow down to the floor.
Aw, the full Flair homage.
Chris hits a baseball slide kick, but the Snowman hops back up to the apron, springboarding off the top rope to connect with a drop kick to the back of the Crippler's head to send him out to the floor. Al then tries for a baseball slide kick of his own, only for Benoit to sidestep and get back into the ring, where he catches the Snowman getting into the ring himself. But Snow comes back with a spinning heel kick to knock Chris out onto the floor, where he regroups.
And everything is so, like, crisp and tight and done with intensity.
Back in the ring, Benoit with a front suplex onto the ropes, goes for a turnbuckle smash, but is blocked, allowing Al to try for a top rope missile dropkick. But the Crippler sidesteps it and hits a bridging German for a 2 count.
I mean, come on. I love Joey Styles even points out, this is pure wrestling, and everybody's losing their shit about it. The crowd is so hot. It's so funny to see them lose their mind for 911, and then for them to also lose their mind for, like,
Wrestling.
pure in-ring
Magic.
Yes, like that's the word. Not to bury the lead, but it's magic, guys.
Chris stays in control with a clothesline and a scoop slam before hitting a vicious back suplex for a near fall. He tries for another, but the Snowman counters to land on top of Benoit for a 2 count. The Crippler starts insulting the crowd before hitting a body slam and a top rope diving headbutt for a near fall.
And it's so great because the crowd then gets behind Al. Because they're like, fuck you, this guy's also holding it up with you.
Chris follows up with a powerbomb for a 2 count. Snow starts fighting back, only for Benoit to stop the momentum with a snap suplex and another bridging German for a near fall. Benoit goes for a full Nelson suplex, only for Al to counter into a snowplex, which is a wheelbarrow suplex. But he's too beaten to capitalize with a cover. But he does recover enough to float over a Crippler suplex attempt to hit a release German.
And it's great because he whips, earlier, Chris Benoit whips Al hard into the buckle, like Bret Hart style, and then Al's selling the back, and he just starts suplexing him everywhere.
Snowman delivers a clothesline, starts stomping away in a corner, a back body drop before hitting another super kick for a 2 count. Al continues with a bridging exploder suplex for a near fall, but Chris counters a waistlock to dump Snow with a release German, followed by delivering a full Nelson suplex for the pin and the win.
Even Joey Styles says, match of the year candidate? Joey Styles says it.
Well, I'll say short list.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was the move? I wrote it in my notes. I was like, I don't know what this is. And I wrote just like reverse Alabama slam.
The snowplex.
The snowplex.
The wheelbarrow
Yeah.
suplex.
Because I wrote down snowplex. I was like, I didn't really realize what it was. I was like, it's kind of, is that was I anywhere close in calling it a reverse Alabama slam? Or was that something that happened afterwards?
Yeah, it's kind of a reverse Alabama slam.
At least, like, as far as being like, I don't know what to call this, but yeah, I mean, shit. We can run this one back again.
A couple dozen times.
Yeah, it's not over long, and everything matters.
Post-match, Benoit power bombs the Snowman again, causing Al to hold his neck.
The Crippler.
So the paramedics make their way out to the ring, placing Snow on a stretcher to take him out of the arena.
What a cherry on a Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, cool, incredible match, and then we get a stretcher job from a guy who is calling himself the Crippler because Sabu's decided to land on his head.
I was just worried I was going to read here that this would be the last time we see Al Snow in ECW. I'm hoping that we get to see him more.
Not.
Yeah, I hope we see a lot more because
I mean, I know we'll see him later on either way, but yeah, I wasn't for sure how long his ECW stay is.
Because I mean, the best match we watched on that weird half Smoky Mountain show was
the Al Snow
was Al Snow, and I just remember Al Snow is the guy with the foam head, and as a kid, I wasn't as tuned into like what is good wrestling. Because it was like prime attitude.
I got the joke and was like, I can't say this joke to people because
what does everybody want?
Yeah. And it's a shame. It's like, did he get hurt, or or did he just got the WWF contract and it was more money? Because I would have loved to see him do some good shit in WCW.
Well, I mean, he gets initially brought into the WWF
as the New Rockers.
Yeah.
Which also his incredible super kick here. Foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. Welcome back.
Great job.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I was, yeah. Keep it in and double it.
See? He's at a loss for words,
I
folks.
know, yeah. It was great.
Double tables. Yeah, it delivered on this match. You got two greats from the mid-'90s, and they put it all on display for us.
Yeah, I'm curious if did Al Snow have like some sort of injury, or it was just like, oh well, this hardcore thing's pretty hot.
I think they were trying to get over the Crippler name.
Okay.
That's why Benoit took him out at the end of the match.
Oh.
Yeah.
He'd already taken out Sabu. Now he had to take out this new guy just to show that he wasn't fucking around. He's going to take out new people, old people. It don't matter.
Well, let's move on to our next match. All the way in episode 149, another ECW offering at Hostile City Showdown 1995. We get our first glimpse of the shooter, Dean Malenko, versus Eddy Guerrero for the ECW television title, guys.
Both men short stint in ECW, but one we already miss.
And very impactful.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because this basically brought this style that we'd been seeing over in Japan.
Yeah.
But it kind of brought this style to the American audience. And off of these, because Malenko and Guerrero had basically 3 matches against each other in ECW. We get this one, and there's 2 other. This is the first of the 3.
Yeah.
But it's the only one that we got a full match of.
Yeah, that's not cut up for video.
Exactly. And it's basically what got them their contracts for WCW. Because literally by the end of 95, both of these guys are in WCW.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys don't need to bleed or use tables or chairs to even get over the ECW crowd, which you see throughout this year, where guys are having incredible, technical, high-flying matches without putting a table under their leg when they do a flip, and the crowd eventually goes off maybe even more than when Public Enemy stabs somebody in the head.
Yeah. No slop, all pop.
Yeah, exactly. No slop. All pop.
Well, let's hear what we had to say about this one.
Take it away, us.
We then go to our 5th match. The shooter, Dean Malenko, versus Eddy Guerrero for the ECW television title.
I mean, just those words right there.
I know.
I'm excited.
I'm immediately in my head, I'm like,
Pants down.
it's not even ECW.
Nice.
It's not even ECW anymore. It's like we're about to go. Yeah, we're about to see a super
bang,
junior
bang.
match. We're about to see I guess.
Lightning in a bottle.
Oh yeah, a better version of early WCW light heavyweight.
An instant classic.
A banger.
So the 2 men are back and forth to begin, exchanging arm locks, boot scrapes across the face, and snapmares.
Shoot catch vibe.
The 2 fight over suplexes before fighting off hip tosses, clotheslines, head scissors, and missed drop kicks to be at a standoff. We get dueling chants of boring and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, people saying boring. I
I have contempt for you.
Those are the fans that like the Axel and Ian Rotten bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah, which I think that's... I understand why that can be fun. But this is what I'm here for most of the time.
Yeah, this is definitely
This is
what I'm here
where
for.
our bread gets buttered.
Yes. These fans don't know wrestling.
The two men then fight over a cross armbreaker and into knuckle locks until Eddy hits a Uranagi out of one. The crowd is trying to get someone thrown out
Yes.
as well. Probably one of those people that was yelling boring.
Yeah. Maybe somebody had one too many Budweisers. I don't know if it's a Miller or a Budweiser town in Philly, but I'm sure they got plenty of it, whatever it may be.
Guerrero continues with a body slam and a slingshot senton from the apron, only for Dean to back Eddy into the corner to hit a butterfly suplex. Dean starts working the knee of Guerrero with a drop kick and a modified Indian deathlock, where he locks up the arms as well, before turning it into a pinning attempt.
Swoon.
Malenko stays on the knee, clipping it, delivering a knee drop, before running it into the steel post multiple times.
Posted.
The legwork continues with Dean locking on an STF, until Eddy is able to slip out of a backdrop into a sunset flip for a 2 count.
I know the STF is like, it seems like he got out of it too quick.
I wonder if that was inspired by Eric Watts.
Man, I can't even remember what. Did somebody actually say that on a show?
Yes.
It wasn't one of our jokes.
No.
We made jokes about it.
Yes.
I believe it was Shane Douglas was doing an STF.
Joey Styles said it.
Oh, and Joey Styles obviously
Made
was
famous
making
by
it,
Eric Watts.
which was obviously a joke.
Yeah.
Because Joey Styles was very funny.
Yes.
Even yolks on you. Joey Styles. Not good, but we know where you're coming from.
Guerrero then counters a suplex attempt into a snap suplex of his own, followed by a power bomb and a tornado DDT for a near fall. Eddy delivers a top rope Frankensteiner, but slams his knee into the mat on the way down, so he's only able to get a 2 count. Guerrero then tries for the same modified Indian deathlock, but the hurt knee won't allow him to get the leverage he needs, so he ends up turning it into a Boston Crab before transitioning into an STF. The two men start to brawl when Malenko head scissors them both over the top rope out to the floor.
Yeah, he throws his whole body into it. He doesn't only head scissor Eddy, but he takes himself over with it. It's a lot.
Eddy's back into the ring first, so he tries to bring Dean in the hard way, only for Malenko to counter, suplexing Guerrero over the ropes and to the concrete.
Jesus.
Eddy then sidesteps Dean's attempt at a plancha, causing Malenko to jam his knee, followed by Guerrero flying off the top rope with a crossbody. They head back into the ring where Dean hits a brainbuster, and he tries for a second, only to be countered into a brainbuster from Eddy. Guerrero heads up top for the frog splash to get the pin, and Malenko kicks out. Eddy sends Dean to the corner and charges in, only for Malenko to move, delivering a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count.
I love that Eddy just hits the mat in frustration. He's like, what the fuck is it going to take?
Dean then looks to apply the Texas Cloverleaf, only for Guerrero to fight it off multiple times by lunging for the ropes to escape, until Malenko hits a double underhook powerbomb, goes for the Cloverleaf, only for Eddy to cradle him up for a near fall. Guerrero with a springboard Frankensteiner for a 2 count.
There's already been a standing ovation just for a pin reversal. I mean, of course, it's not just for that. It's for everything that's been before. But this is how you like make a title mean something. This is an easy way to do that. And by easy, I mean not very many people can do this.
No.
So you should recognize it when they can.
Yeah.
Eddy continues with a pump handle backbreaker for a near fall, followed by a gory special that leads into a rolling pinning sequence between the two men, all for 2 counts. Another small package by Eddy for a near fall, and he goes up top, only for Dean to meet him there, getting Guerrero onto his shoulders for a super electric chair drop. But Eddy counters it into a sunset flip powerbomb for a 2 count. As both men get to their feet, the bell rings for a time limit draw.
Woo! This is the standing ovation. Yeah, I love that most of the time, the bell rings like on a 2 count or something, or like right before a 3 count, and that's the idea. But I love somebody not being able to put somebody away, both of them up to their feet, and you don't know who's about to have the advantage, and then the bell rings.
Yeah.
I think that's
It doesn't
honestly
look as staged.
Yeah, and I feel like that it kind of sets up what happens next better, and you have less room for error as opposed to like somebody putting their leg on it. Everybody knows, the crowd doesn't have to try to figure out what happened. They know what happened is that these guys couldn't put each other away in 30 minutes, and you get to walk away and be like, I think this guy was going to win or had the better hand, as opposed to like some kind of fuckery. It's like, no, the bell can ring with both of them standing up, ready to go. Maybe one's got a bum knee, maybe one's got a bum arm, but they still got fight in them. So I really appreciated the draw ending that way.
Yeah,
because I think that's kind of the most superior way for a draw to go.
It's always less exciting for me when a draw happens, as the referee's hand is coming down for 2.
Yeah.
That can happen one time, and it's exciting, but it happens 75 other times, and it's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like
throw them over the top rope and get disqualified.
Yeah. We love a time limit draw, or at least I do, but I don't feel like we've really seen them quite end like this, and I think this is kind of the best of all worlds, especially because the only reason for a draw...
I got 2 words.
You got 2 words?
Yeah. Short
list.
Yes.
I think we all agree with that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might like this one better than Scorpio and Eddy last week.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are like close friends, so I feel like that automatically, it's like no matter how much chemistry Scorpio and Eddy have, Dean and Eddy are inclined to have more, considering that they've been around each other more.
Yep. Yeah. And we're back.
Oh my gosh, you did so much better.
Well, I do like having this microphone in front of me, and I am older, so I've had years of practice. Eddy, Dean, I wish you were still wrestling today. I wish you had more programs that went on forever and ever and ever and ever. Oh,
when did Dean
guys.
retire?
He didn't have as big of a splash in WWE when they all jumped over there, but he stuck around backstage for several years.
He moved to an agent role, and now he's actually in AEW as a coach.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he does have Parkinson's.
Is that what it is?
He has something that
Yeah.
most likely he'll end up having to come off the road at some point. I'm not real sure exactly, so if it's not Parkinson's, I apologize.
He has some sort of affliction.
Yeah. That he will, like I said, he'll have to come off the road at some point, which is unfortunate because that knowledge base to have.
Yeah. A mind like that is never wasted in wrestling.
Exactly.
Parkinson's.
It is Parkinson's. Okay. I thought that's what it was.
Sad. I
Yeah.
didn't realize he was battling that. That's... Aw. The man of 1,000 holds.
Hopefully he can hold off one more.
There we go.
Well, let's move to our next one. And if you've listened to this show long enough, we like some women's wrestling.
Yes, we do.
Because when these women do stuff that we think men should be doing,
Yes.
that they don't do.
When they're allowed to do more than pull hair, it's great. When you get in there and kick somebody's ass instead of
shit.
Yeah, when it's not
stripping their clothes off of them just to get a reaction.
when it's not all
It's great.
sloppy snapmares from the roots of their long hair.
When you got a woman who can get in the ring and wrestle with her hair standing straight up, and it's still standing straight up at the end of the match after she just kicked the shit out of somebody.
It's just good hairspray.
I mean, it's good hairspray, but
I'm willing to bet that she has.
She knows what she needs.
The Elmer's glue. I think that was an old punk rock
we'll
trick.
just both be wrong. It's like this weird plastic thing that just kind of sits up under there and just holds it up.
It was just a really nice horsehair crown.
Like internal crown, yeah.
We're going to Korea.
Could you believe that a match from Collision in Korea
Made the list.
On the list?
After watching these women go,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
After watching the other matches on the show,
This was the one.
this is the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
but that was episode 161. It's Manami Toyota And Mariko Yoshida versus Akira Hokuto and Bull Nakano.
Strong
And
like bull.
they definitely blew us out of the water.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they more than earned their spot on this list.
Absolutely. I think we've said all we can say.
Yep.
Let's go listen to what...
We said.
And then we go to our fourth match. Manami Toyota and Mariko Yoshida versus Akira Hakata and Bull Nakano. These are some big names, guys.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know.
Fucking Akira Hokuto comes out with awesome like demon mask and katana.
Yeah, see,
it's great.
It threw me at first because seeing the two of them walk down, I was like, all right, I know Bull, big blue hair, and then the other one walking behind with big red wig or something like that,
connected to the mask.
And then I looked away from the TV for a second, and then looked back, and then I had to try and figure out, all right, which one is she? Because nobody looks like they were in the costume that I just saw walking down to the ring.
Yeah. I mean, the one I'm least familiar with is Mariko Yoshida, but like Manami
There might be a
Toyota
reason for that.
and Akira Hokuto, and then of course Bull Nakano are all big names for 90s women's wrestling.
In fact, Hokuto is a Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer, and she would actually also marry Kensuke Sasaki later this year. Some fun personal information about her.
Were they talking about
Which
that
they
during
do
the
mention.
show?
They
Okay.
do mention later in the show.
Because I heard them talking about something about playing matchmaker for a Sasaki, but I didn't hear the name that they were talking about.
While Toyota is also a Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer, and at this point had won Match of the Year in 1993, but she would also win it for 1995
Go
in a
girl.
match, not for this match specifically, but for a different match that she would have in her promotion.
All Japan, right?
Yeah. And the last time we saw Nakano was at SummerSlam 94, episode 130. So Toyota and Yoshida go for a handshake, but Okuda and Nakano dump Toyota out to the floor and start working over Yoshida with double team maneuvers until Toyota comes flying in off the top rope with a crossbody onto Okuda and Nakano. Toyota and Yoshida try for some double team maneuvers of their own, only for Nakano to take them down with a double clothesline, followed by a clothesline to Toyota to turn her inside out. Toyota is then being tossed around by Nakano, where she fires up with a drop kick and multiple second rope missile drop kicks for a 2 count. Yoshida's tagged in, but as she is taken down immediately with a clothesline from Nakano, before Hokuto flies in off the top rope with a splash for a near fall. Hokuto keeps up the attack with a spinning heel kick and a pile driver for a 2 count, before locking on a Romero special.
Surfboard.
Surfboard.
Nakano tags in to lock on a Bull's Angelino stretch, which we've seen this move before. It's a half sharpshooter, half butterfly lock move. I found that Paige actually used to do it as the Paige tap out, the PTO. So we have seen it I'd never seen it before. We saw Nakano do it, but I never really watched a whole lot of Paige. So.
Yeah, and see, I mean, when Paige did it, I think hers was different than...
Yeah, it was slightly
Nakano.
different.
Because, I mean, Bull was big old beast and Paige was this little thing, so yeah, hers went on a little differently.
Toyota runs in and breaks up that hold. Nakano continues to work the back of Yoshida with more stretches before hitting a leg drop. And then Yoshida is tossed to the ropes by Hokuto. Coming back, she cartwheels away from a clothesline before hitting a crossbody, a pair of handspring back elbows, and a fisherwoman suplex for a near fall.
I mean, yeah, these girls are firing on all cylinders. They are flying from all sides of the ring quite wonderfully.
Yoshida goes to the top rope, only for Hokuto to meet her there, bringing Yoshida down with a superplex for the pin. And no! Yoshida kicks out. Hokuto is holding Yoshida for Nakano to come in off the second rope with a clothesline, only for Yoshida to move to avoid, allowing her to make the tag to Toyota, who comes in with a splash off the top rope. But Hokuto gets her feet up into
Both boots
Toyota's
up. Of the
shin.
both boots up.
Nakano delivers a powerbomb for a 2 count, tries for another, but Toyota rolls through for a sunset flip for a near fall.
She does a power bomb, and Eric Bischoff calls it a pile driver, to which I call him
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, Vince McMahon.
What a maneuver!
At least what a maneuver is fun.
Toyota goes for a suplex, but Nakano is too much for her. So Yoshida comes in to join, only for Nakano to then hit a double suplex on them.
I mean, what a fun spot.
Hokuto comes flying in with a splash, only for Toyota and Yoshida to move and kick Nagano down to the floor, followed by a double drop kick to Hokuto to send her out to the floor as well. Yoshida goes through the ropes with a tope suicida, followed by a springboard plancha by Toyota out onto Nakano and Hokuto. Back in the ring, Toyota body slams Hokuto before going up top for a moonsault for the 2 count.
And during all of this, Eric Bischoff says, textbook offense. And I'm like, fuck you, you've never seen anything like this. You fucking dickhead.
Toyota then lifts Hokuto onto her shoulders for the Ocean Cyclone Suplex, but Hokuto rolls through for a near fall. Yoshida comes in with a clothesline that Hokuto ducks and delivers a bridging German suplex. Nakano is tagged in, sending Yoshida to a corner where she leaps up to the top, coming off with a crossbody for a 2 count. Yoshida hits several drop kicks, only for Nakano to no-sell them. So Toyota comes in for them to hit stereo drop kicks to finally knock Nakano down. Nakano is then tossed to the ropes, ducks a double-team clothesline, while Hokuto climbs the ropes, flying in with a missile drop kick to her opponents.
The split leg one where each foot for each opponent, which I just love that so much.
Nakano then takes her opponents out to the floor, where Hokuto falls out with a senton from the top rope. Once back in the ring, Nakano climbs the ropes, while Hokuto body slams Yoshida, before Nakano leaps off with a flying leg drop for the pin and the win. Short list.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was going to ask if this was the one that you were hinting at.
Yes.
I
You
mean,
were
yeah.
mentioning short list women's match? Us?
We don't see a whole lot of them, and these girls did the work.
Yes.
I also love the senton spot where it's like Bull Nakano's like not there to save, and she's too far away. So yeah, they didn't wait for her to get there to catch him. They did the senton.
Yep.
I mean, I'm all for safety, but not like don't do things you don't know how to do, but also don't do things that don't make sense. So I appreciate that.
Yes. Smart match. Good match.
Fast match, exciting match.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back from that one. Hope you're enjoying this.
I am.
I'm completely enjoying the walk down memory lane.
Of all the things to listen back to as somebody that records this, these are the ones that I'm always like, oh yeah, I want to hear what we had to say about these matches that we love so much.
Absolutely.
That's
And I
why
know
like
what I had to
these.
say about this one. I probably said something about how all the spots to the floor made sense. Because that's a big picadillo of mine and something that I loved about this match.
Yeah, I dig the best of episodes because we find ourselves often saying short list, but then by the time we get through the whole cycle of it, I kind of forget which ones we've said short list to until I see them in front of me, and it's like, oh shit, yeah.
And then you get excited. You're like, oh yeah, that was good. Or like, I don't remember the finish. I'd like to go back and watch it or listen to it.
You know what else is exciting? The next match.
It was Razor versus Shawn in ladder match part 2.
I mean, who would we be if we were to overlook this one?
We wrestled the Manias with them, and now we're slamming the summer.
Back in episode 163, we saw these two guys match up, and if I remember correctly, I mean, I know I said it. I don't remember what y'all's feelings are. Once I listen to what we said, I'll remember at that point. But I remember saying that I like this one better than the WrestleMania one.
Yep.
I mean, Razor has a full year to get better, as if he wasn't already a solid hand. People said that originally the first match was Shawn Michaels having a match with a ladder, which I think is incredibly rude, and because Razor Ramon is not Kevin Nash.
No.
Definitely not.
So it would only make sense that they would be able to do it better a second time.
Yep.
Well, let's find out if we actually did all say all that stuff. But we go straight to our 8th match. Razor Ramon versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels for the WWF Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match.
I mean, they perfected the ladder match, and this is the ladder rematch.
So Doc Hendricks has joined McMahon for commentary for this match and for the rest of the show. As, Lawler went to the back with his boy Yankum.
The sexy boy out in blue and silver. Where's the red, brother?
Okay, you gotta mix it up.
You gotta mix it up. I agree, but the red is so nice.
So the build-up for this match was kind of slight, as HBK was actually supposed to face Sid. But a few weeks before the show, new president Gorilla Monsoon decided the fans wanted a ladder rematch.
He said, we need to sell some tickets, and that is the biggest match we've had, or one of the most popular matches we've had in quite a while.
Like, what did Sid do? Did he get in trouble?
No, literally.
No.
What?
Yeah. No, I think they just needed an excuse.
The storyline is what I gave you. Michael nailed it on the head with the actual reason
The thing is, you also don't need a build to this. These guys visiting each other again totally makes sense because they're kind of eye to eye in the card as far as like popularity, and is this the biggest match you can have in this company at the moment? Is Razor and Shawn, because Diesel
probably pretty close.
Yeah, if
it's not Shawn and Brett.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
exactly.
both faces at this time. So
yeah,
I guess Razor and Shawn are both faces.
Yeah,
Razor giving Brett the stink eye in the back. Anything's possible.
Yeah,
triple threat.
But yeah, if you need to sell another 25,000 pay-per-views, or you need to sell another 1,500 tickets, this match will do it.
Sid is not going to bring the people in,
and neither is Diesel, even though they seem to cheer him.
Mm.
So it takes a minute for the belt to be placed correctly over the ring, as they can't seem to get the height exactly correct.
They don't do it all the time.
And we'll find out that they still don't really have it correctly by the end of the match. But once it is, the two men start trading words until they begin to run the ropes, with Shawn almost hitting a super kick, only for Razor to avoid. We get more traded strikes when Ramon sends Michaels to the corner, where he leaps up and over absolutely no one. So when he turns, the bad guy just kicks him to set up for the Razor's Edge.
I know, I love the trading the finishes early. So hot and such a good way to get everybody going.
HBK drops down and rolls to the ropes to avoid. Ramon with another Irish whip that sends Shawn into a Flair flip over the ropes to the floor. And this allows Razor to go out and try and retrieve the ladder, only for Michaels to catch up with him to bring him back to ringside.
Does Michaels ever land the Flair flip, or does he just steal the Flair flip and always use it to land on the apron or the floor? Because it seems like he never uses it in a defensive way where Ric Flair will take it to the apron a lot of the time. Or
usually when Shawn does it, he
just goes out to the
floor. Yeah, it's just for him it's a bump, and for Ric Flair it's a will he recover or not?
Yeah, he does either the flip out to the floor, or he does the kind of flip up onto the turnbuckle and then rolls back into the ring again, so he don't get hit again.
Yeah. I love it either way, but I'm just curious because it seems like with Flair you never know, but with Shawn it seems like he never quite lands on the feet.
HBK tries to bring Ramon in the hard way, but it is countered, sending Shawn's leg across the guardrail.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, that
was sick.
Ouch.
I mean, where the match starts and the guys are avoiding each other's finishes, they're starting hot, and then you're already working the leg, which Sweet Chin Music has already been said in this match. So I feel like it's basically established at this point.
Back in the ring, Razor gets Michaels up into the Razor's Edge, only for HBK to wiggle free and attempt a super kick, which Ramon ducks before they both hit clotheslines for a double KO. Razor starts whipping Shawn back and forth before hitting a second rope fallaway slam, which allows Ramon to grab the ladder in the aisleway. And Vince tells us that Sid will get a match versus the winner on an episode of Raw as we see him watching in the back.
Yep, Sid in a dark room watching the monitor. I also love that the ladder there's one ladder, and it's in the walkway. It's not in the ring. There's not 10 ladders or 4 ladders or 3 ladders. It's in the ring. I mean, in the walkway. So it's like you have to go get it.
As Razor comes back to ringside, Michaels tries for a baseball slide, but Ramon moves and decks HBK with a right hand. Razor then sets up the ladder, but Shawn jumps back into the ring to knock Ramon and the ladder down. Michaels picks up the ladder and inadvertently hits Ramon while trying to set it up.
Looks like a bit of an accident.
But Razor grabs his pant legs to stop him, pulling his tights down to the pleasure of all the ladies, and I'm sure a few men.
Yep. I mean, I would have liked to see his ass, and that's not even my thing. I was like, we can't see it? We can't see his ass?
Ramon then pulls HBK's leg, causing him to fall into the ladder, with a leg getting caught up on a rung as it fell.
I mean, callback.
Razor takes advantage, working over the knee with stomps and using the ladder before slamming Shawn on top of the ladder. Ramon then sets the ladder across the second rope in a corner before going back to work on the leg, trying to whip Michaels into it, but he just falls down.
I know, it feels like they're already one-upping this with like the slam on the ladder. It's like, we can't just do the same match again.
Razor then attempts a figure 4, only for HBK to knock him off right into the corner with the ladder. But Ramon recovers to drop Shawn knee first across the ladder and continues to work on it, including slamming the knee on the ground and against the ring post.
Who does he think he is, Bret Hart? Maybe Bret helped.
Razor grabs the ladder to set it up, but instead just casually drops it on the hurt leg.
Very fun. I love it. Yeah, it's so fun. It's like, let me just, subvert your expectations real quick by being a bit of a shithead.
He then actually does set it up and starts to climb, when Michaels flies off the top rope with a double axe handle to knock him down. HBK then shoves Ramon into the ladder to knock him down again, but Razor is up first and starts to climb, when Shawn catches up with him to deliver a back suplex off of the ladder.
I mean, come on, guys.
Michaels then puts the ladder against the turnbuckle before whipping Ramon into it multiple times, followed by a forearm smash and a body slam. HBK then sets the ladder up in the corner, climbing to the top to hit a moonsault onto Razor.
Moonsault, like, have we seen a Shawn Michaels moonsault before?
Maybe?
I'm trying to remember.
Maybe he's just like, well, Hakushi's here.
I'm picturing him doing one on Tito, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, and that was like so long ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, like at that point, it's not even in the consciousness of like the current era.
Yeah.
Shawn climbs to the top of the ladder once again, this time coming off with a splash, but Ramon rolls out of the way to avoid. The ladder is set back up with both men slow climbing to the top, where they have a slugfest, which ends up toppling the ladder, sending Razor out to the floor, while Michaels gets crotched on the top rope.
I love that it's like, we both got it bad. The crowd is pretty split.
Back on their feet, HBK misses with a running ladder attack to Ramon on the apron as he low bridges, causing Shawn to fall out to the floor. Razor then grabs a second ladder from under the ring, while Shawn starts setting up the original ladder in the ring, with McMahon going crazy about how he has never seen this before.
I mean,
what is this?
It is pretty new. It's a shame that they started putting everything in the world under a ring, but here it's a surprise and nice.
Everything and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Michaels begins to climb, so Ramon grabs him to deliver a razor's edge in the middle of the ring. Both make it back to their feet and start to set up their respective ladders, with Ramon starting to climb first. So HBK hits some sweet chin music from his ladder to knock Razor down.
It's a desperation thing too, because like Razor's got like 6 inches at least on Michaels.
Shawn then makes it to the top of his ladder, but he can't reach the belt. So he leaps up to try and grab it.
Yeah, it's just like if he was centered, he could get it. But in this moment of desperation, after the sweet chin music to the taller man, he just fuck it, I gotta jump and at least try.
But he ends up just crashing down to the mat. The bad guy looks for another Razor's Edge, only for Michaels to counter with a back body drop to send Ramon over to the floor, allowing HBK to make the slow climb to grab the title, but he still can't take hold of it.
That one was frustrating as hell because he actually grabs onto it, but it doesn't come loose.
Yeah, it's he slipped. Either his sweaty hand slips, or my assumption is that he gets a hold of it, but his sweaty hand slips, and he thinks it's going to come down easier than it does. And it's oh, yeah, you need to just, hook your arm because this thing's a little tighter than you thought.
Yeah.
So Shawn, falls off to the mat once again. And he's pissed off at this point because he, slams the ladder back into the middle of the ring.
Which is, honestly, I'm sure the anger was obviously real, but it's the kind of leaking of reality into wrestling that you enjoy sometimes. Or that we like to see.
So Michaels makes the climb one more time, with the belt having been unstrapped. It's hanging down a little bit lower, so he's able to grab it from about the halfway point of the ladder to win the match.
Dun dun dun.
Post-match, Ramon climbs back into the ring, ripping the belt out of Shawn's hands. But then he hands it back to him, raising his arm and giving him a handshake and a hug.
Lifts his arm for the fireworks.
Bros.
I mean, it's babyface versus babyface, but this is one of the moments where it works just because
both of them have been shit heels in the past.
Yeah, and people want to see it. So there's that moment of they could possibly turn, kind of like the Piper and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8, I believe, which is still one of the greatest matches ever. Ladders and tables, and there's no tables. Ladders and razors and
heartbreaks.
And heartbreaks, oh my.
Oh my. And yes.
And very pissed off Shawn at the very end.
He was a little heated.
I mean, how many times... I don't know how many times I could have grabbed for the belt.
I mean, from what I understand, if he's not angry, he's whining. So,
yeah.
I mean...
It's a good chance.
It only makes sense.
Well, I'm just going to say that angry Shawn Michaels is kind of hot, so I'm okay with it.
I mean, of the current lineup in WWF,
would you say he's a sexy boy?
Absolutely
sexy, angry.
I don't think that you could have two more handsome men in the WWF in a ring at one point at this point in time.
No.
Those are the two hottest guys on the payroll.
I mean, they're part of the reason that mullets became so popular, because look how they looked with them. So everybody else thought, damn, my girl's checking them out. I should probably grow one of them things for myself.
Shawn Michaels, not everybody has the face that Shawn Michaels has.
Definitely not.
No.
But you know who does have a face? Arn Anderson, guys.
Arn Anderson is...
Where are we going with this?
Yeah, a handsome dad. I would love for him to cook me a hamburger while fireworks go off. He seems like a good hang.
That's right. Our next match, the Horsemen reform, guys. And this match is what got them all together.
Yep.
They do it in what we would consider a perfect wrestling angle to bring the Horsemen back.
Yeah. Headed to Halloween Havoc 95.
I just have to point out here, sorry to interrupt, but we have a fucking Halloween Havoc match on our short list. Halloween Havoc has been generally the joke of
notoriously doo-doo.
Well, I literally was going to mention that this show literally had... This match was sandwiched in between a monster truck sumo match and a Hogan Giant with a Yeti appearance.
Yeti!
Yeah, after the Giant seemingly fell off of a roof.
Yeah.
How much...
That they recorded and didn't even put on the show, which I couldn't be more angry about, but you've heard the episode before, I'm sure.
What if we had a snowman there instead of a Yeti? Oh, how different things would have been. Al Snow runs in. knocks out.
Not only do we have a Yeti, we have a horny Yeti.
Did you guys, I think I mentioned this off air, but I never said it on air. El Gigante was originally supposed to be the Yeti.
But they were like, we've had enough of giving this guy a shot.
I think he made the one wise decision of his entire career and was like, no thank you.
I think the WWF wouldn't let him use the hairy skin suit anymore. So he's like, it's this or nothing. Okay, nothing.
That hairy skin suit, almost worse than the Yeti costume.
But enough about the rest of Halloween Havoc.
Sorry, we could do a whole hour on Halloween Havoc.
So back in episode 169, Arn Anderson and Flyin' Brian Pillman team up to face Sting and supposed to be Ric Flair. But Ric Flair had gotten hurt before the show started.
Son of a bitch.
So Sting is forced to take on the Enforcer and Flyin' Brian Pillman all on his lonesome.
And this is what happened.
Take it away, us.
That takes us to our sixth match. The Enforcer, Arn Anderson, and Flyin' Brian Pillman versus Sting and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Woohoo!
I mean, I think we earned it.
Yeah. I mean, anytime the four of these guys step in the ring, either together or individually as, one-on-one, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, if the worst one, or worse, it might not be the right way to put it.
I was going to say, which is the worst of
If
them?
the least talented wrestler in the ring is Sting, at
The
least
only one with the belt?
I don't mind calling Sting a wrestler.
Well, you were allowed to call them wrestlers back then. It was okay.
Yeah.
So Double A and Pillman come out throwing up the 4 hand sign while fans are throwing trash at them,
Yeah, they were.
including a piece just hitting the Enforcer right on the chin, but he doesn't even flinch.
No, 'cause
he
he's-
just wipes it away and keeps on walking.
We love him. I mean, and him and Pillman look nice together. It's like Big Bear and Baby Bear.
The Stinger comes out alone as Tony tells us that the Nature Boy is still receiving medical help. Because remember, he got beat up
That's right. He
before
got...
the show.
Oh,
They told us that.
They didn't show it though.
No, they did not. Sting has to fend off some double teaming to start, forcing them out to the floor to regroup, where Flyin' Brian just yells at the cameraman.
We want Flair. The crowd is hot for Ric Flair, and they go in and out of that chant consistently.
The Stinger evades them and takes them down once more with face plants, right hands, and chops to force them out to the floor again.
We want Flair.
Pillman enters the match and slaps Sting, before luring him out to the floor, where Anderson tries for a clothesline, only for the Stinger to duck and retaliate with clotheslines to both men. Back in the ring, Brian tries a different tactic, going for a handshake, but Sting just boots him in the gut and nails a press slam. Arn comes in looking to take control, only for the Stinger to reverse a piledriver attempt into a catapult that sends Double A into Pillman on the turnbuckle. Sting then launches Flyin' Brian off the ropes into the guardrail before returning to deliver right hands to Anderson, but the Enforcer recovers by ramming the Stinger's head into Pillman's, the old double noggin knocker. Double A then takes control with a shot to the gut, when Flair all of a sudden runs into the ring in street clothes and his head all bandaged up.
I mean, huge pop.
He's going after Arn, but the ref stops him and forces him into a corner.
rude.
Anderson tosses Sting out to the floor, where Brian can work him over by sending him into the guardrail. Before back in the ring, Pillman and the Enforcer just continue to double team the Stinger, while the Nature Boy is forced to look on, itching to get into the fight. After a Double A body slam, they attempt a rocket launcher, only for Sting to get his knees up and starts to make the crawl, only for Anderson to cut off the tag attempt with a back suplex for a 2 count. Arn goes into a knuckle lock, trying for the pump splash, but the Stinger gets his knees up again, making that crawl once more, but this time Flyin' Brian distracts Nate, causing him to leave the apron and chase after him, allowing the Enforcer to pull Sting back to the corner, where he locks on a leverage-aided ab stretch.
They are doing a beautiful job of milking the hot tag because people were hot for Flair. Flair didn't even come out. Flair's here now, and Sting has taken too many blows by the time Rick gets there, and since Rick is the face, he's staying in the corner. And what a way to bring excitement to a fever pitch, the whole purpose of wrestling, and spoiler alert, that it's predetermined for this purpose. People should remember that.
Don't you steal my fun.
No, that they should remember that you're supposed to get, the whole idea is that you can get the best
drama
reaction.
builds.
The drama builds.
Pillman with a face plant, rubbing Sting's face into the mat, hits some chops before applying a leverage-aided half crab. More double teaming and holds when the Stinger looks to rally, only for Double A to cut him off with a spine buster for a near fall. They go to work on the leg of Sting with Flair screaming at him to stand tall when the Stinger would fire up to nail a double noggin knocker, allowing him to make his way to the corner for the hot tag. The Nature Boy jumps in the ring,
Woo!
does some strutting,
Yeah.
and then turns and punches Sting right in the face.
Woo!
My God, how did you punch? Did you love that moment?
Swerve.
All three men then proceed to attack the Stinger, and the ref calls for the bell.
Hell yes.
Post-match, Sting fights valiantly, but the numbers game is not on his side, as Arn holds him while Pillman and Flair throw chops and punches.
I mean, there may be three men on Sting, but Pillman is holding up 4 fingers.
Nate rips the tape off of his head, as it was all a ruse. And the refs try to stop him, but they get attacked as well. Mean Gene's in the aisle, calling what we just saw disgusting, but not enough to not plug the hotline, with Road Warrior Hawk and Mike Tenay on the phone right now. He then stops the Nature Boy, Anderson, and Flyin Bryant for a word. And Nate says, it's time to go to school. You don't jump on Double A. You don't play around with Flyin Bryant. You never mess around with the Nature Boy. And you don't walk, talk, or breathe unless the Horsemen want you to. Anderson then chimes in to be careful what you wish for, calling the fans bloodthirsty for wanting this. Flair then ends it all by saying, reunited and it feels so good.
I mean,
Horseman style.
Come on. It's so... The Dungeon of Doom was completely neutered here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's your heel faction. It's like, we just had a incredible Horseman angle that did everything that wrestling is supposed to do in the like most textbook of way. It's like, it's so good. I love that Arn says, like, you know, all you bloodthirsty fans asked for this. Well, you got it, and now you got to deal with it. And I was like, fuck yes. I'm so happy to deal with this.
Tony wonders how long this plan was in effect, with the brain just laughing about it.
I mean, if you think we were excited about it, how do you think Bobby felt? This is like the closest thing to wrestling he's seen in a while.
Hell yeah.
What angle?
It's so perfect. They didn't... It all happened in the ring. There could have been like no build-up at all, and this is just the thing. And it's all there. Sting just getting beat down for like 10 minutes to the perfect crescendo.
And he should have
It
known.
just pulls the rug out from under everybody.
Here's a tag. Strut, strut, strut. Punch.
Yeah.
Like, yes!
Yep.
Yeah. It's just like textbook stuff, but is it textbook stuff? Because I don't think people are reading these textbooks anymore.
They need to be.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple people that are reading that textbook, but
Yeah.
they're about the only ones anymore.
Unfortunately, they're injured most of the time.
But hey,
Or at least at the moment.
new things are on the horizon in the wrestling world, so who
Oh,
knows? We may get some smarts back in the biz again.
It's an exciting time.
Yes. I mean, Sting warned him, too. Or I shouldn't say he warned him. I guess he did warn Flair that, you know, if you screw me, I'm going to kick your ass. But you should have known. If you have to say, if you screw me, you're going to get screwed, buddy.
He's the dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, he got his best friend and his protege. What do you expect?
So we also had other matches on the short list
Yes.
that we'd like to at least give a mention to, just so.
Yeah, ones we thought about, honorable mentions.
So I think we mentioned earlier Eddie Guerrero had a couple other matches on our short list.
Yes.
Yeah, he showed up big at the beginning of
Eddie
of
was
95.
the most listed on our list.
His very first match in ECW was against Too Cold Scorpio at Three-Way Dance, and that one was on our list. And I think that's our favorite Too Cold Scorpio match that we've ever seen as well.
Yes.
Definitely. Because every time, for a while there, I was just waiting for Too Cold Scorpio to botch.
Fuck up.
Yep.
And I believe that in this one, if he did, it was minuscule.
And then we also had one of the other Eddie Malenko matches as well, but it was edited down. So we went with the full match because,
Yeah.
of course, it's going to be a little bit better.
One that's not just cut for high spots.
And that one was 150 Enter Sandman.
Yep.
We had Best of the Super Juniors 2, Shinjiro Otani versus Koji Kanemoto for a semifinals match. Episode 157. It's no surprise to anybody that's listening to the show that I love Shinjiro Otani, and I love it when he kicks people in the head. I love any wrestler that kicks people in the head and means it.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you also had your Otani match at the Super J Cup.
Maybe my favorite of the honorable mentions, Super J Cup's second stage, Otani versus Ultimo Dragon in a quarterfinals match where somehow they botched the finish, but the rest of the match was so good that it's hard for me to ignore.
I just remember from that episode that we all literally named. I changed up the smarking it up on that episode and was like, let's just name our favorite 3 matches, and we each had a different favorite match. I think we all agreed that was the best match.
Yeah, best and favorite,
but sometimes
not always the same.
Not
There's
always
room,
the same.
Yeah, room to breathe
Because
when you use those words.
I had issues, like the botch completely took it off.
Yeah,
Being a shortlist match for me, which it's going to affect some people different ways.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's what wrestling should do.
For me, it was more of just like I just did a big old shucks because I was like,
Almost perfection.
I know.
I think
I
I literally said it was a 9.5 on the 10-point scale because it just it took it down just a half a notch for me.
Still absolutely worth your time.
Well, that just leaves us with a couple. We got one from WCW, Fall Brawl 1995. Flyin' Brian Pillman versus Johnny B. Bad in a number 1 contenders match for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship.
And this is when Pillman just came back.
Yes.
It was the draw.
Yes.
And then they went to sudden death, and it's like, just keep going.
Yeah.
we made fun of that a little bit.
Was this the one where they couldn't figure out, or they had to explain, or something like that, what sudden death was?
Yes.
I remember there was one of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had to explain what sudden. It was like, they're just going until someone gets a pin. There's just no time limit, guys.
Yeah. But
This was the starting match on the show, and it lit the show on fire.
Yeah. We were like, oh yeah, let's go, Fall Brawl.
it was nice because we had Pillman for the longest time opening shows for it seemed like a year straight.
Yeah.
And then it switched to Johnny B. Bad opening shows for a year straight. Definitely different styles of wrestling and styles of matches, but to see the two of them come together and pour both their talents in a cup for us to drink down was very nice. And I know people give Johnny B. Bad shit, but Johnny B. Bad is not the worst wrestler.
No. Johnny
He
B. Bad
is
is
a solid
When he
hand.
puts his effort in, I think he's a solid wrestler.
Yes.
And the people love him.
Johnny B. Bad is great. The Wild Man, I don't know if you're in love as much when you see him, but...
Mariko.
Yes. Oh, no. And our other match, or I should say our final on the short list, is episode 176, In Your House 5. It was the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, with Jim Cornette and Diana Smith, versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF Championship. And this one was their...
It was a redemption match, for...
Yeah, Bret had to
Davey
get
Boy.
his win back. Davey Boy had to try and go for that title and take it, the big one this time. A whole lot better than their SummerSlam 92
I think
match.
we all agreed.
We
all agreed with that.
Honestly, it's a shame this was not the show that was at Wembley Stadium in front of 50,000 people or whatever. I don't remember the number, but I know it's a shitload of people. 80. That's crazy to me. So many people.
80,000 to 14,000 or whatever
That's
it was
insane.
on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, way better match than, I mean, the SummerSlam one was good, but this one had a lot of greatness to it just because you've got Brett at the top of his game. You had Diana that had a little bit more of an attitude to her because she was, supporting her heel husband. You had Davey, who was, I believe, sober for this match, so he actually had
definitely less fucked
sober.
up.
I think the biggest thing about the SummerSlam one is like it actually goes a notch up once you realize that he's fucked up, because you're like, they actually did that, and he has no clue what he's doing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, the guy's just, it's in his bones. Plus, he's got, Brett there. I don't know if it would have worked that way with anybody else.
Definitely not.
No.
If it was Antonio Inoki and British Bulldog, Antonio Inoki probably just would have kicked him in the head and left the ring.
Yeah. 1995 is often viewed as a terrible year in wrestling, but we had some quality matches.
It's not the best.
No.
Overall.
No.
But there are definitely some bright spots, and that's what we wanted to bring in this episode, are some of those bright spots.
For all the poo-pooing we did, we're throwing rose petals for at least these handful of matches.
There were some stankers that we had to go through.
But hey, Public Enemy's on their way out, guys.
Woo!
At least from one company.
Yes.
Well,
and then you get to see the Public Enemy that I was introduced to when I first started watching
they're
Public
forced
Enemy.
to work. Maybe not.
I mean, as much as you can work in WCW. Well, no, because you got some good workers in WCW.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you'll see.
I'm interested.
Yeah, just wait and see. It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
It gets pretty nasty. Next week, Wrestling World 1996.
It's January 4th. You know what that means.
We're going across the sea
to the Tokyo Dome.
That's right.
This will be a joint show with UWF. So see some people we haven't seen before and a bunch of familiar faces.
And this is the first Wrestling World?
It's the first Wrestling World. It's kind of the name that they start using for the January 4th ones for a few years in a row.
Yeah, the longest running name, obviously, is Wrestle Kingdom.
That's what it is. Okay.
But it doesn't get there until, 2007-ish, I think, something like that. So
yeah,
we still have a little ways with some different names.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But we will always be there on the 4th.
Absolutely. Music from this week's show is New Body by Audio Adrenaline and Bellbottoms by Jon Spencer Blues Explosion. If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out and rate or review us. Or rate and review us. Don't or, do and.
Yeah, do both.
On iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. If you have any questions, comments, concerns...
Recipes, drink ideas, food ideas, something. We're headed to Japan. I know there's a lot of ideas for Japan out there. If you want to throw me some more Philly stuff, that would be great too, because I'm sure I've got... 40 shows in Philly.
A few Philly.
Coming up here in 96. We'll find out.
I mean, there's only 50-something episodes in season 4, so...
Okay.
Yeah, and 20 of them are probably ECW.
Or season 5, I guess I should say. We're going into season 5.
Woo! Almost a syndication or something. I don't know. And that usually what happens after 5
seasons. We're at 180
seasons.
episodes, dude. They go to syndication at 100.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Somebody get us a deal with TBS right before the Big Bang Theory or whatever.
Can we get on that Warner Brothers Discovery train?
Sure.
What the fuck is up with that, by the way?
Who knows?
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast that we're not going to host.
Well, now we don't have to watch back.
If you have any of those, you can email us at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO.
X.
We'll talk to you next week.
Twitter me. Laters.